All right, now, I think we might have Merlin Luck on the line. You there, Merlin?
George, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you very much. Mate, you've caused quite a stir today.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted, man. Spark some controversy and get some discussion going.
All right, now let me just ask you a couple of questions here. These are things that people want to know about, okay?
Yeah, bring it on.
When did you plan to do this protest? Did you plan it before you even auditioned for the show?
No, look, I never went onto the show with the aim of doing a protest like this, but as I started to get through the auditioning process, I realised that this was a very real possibility that I was going to be on this show, and I knew that to truly represent who I am, I had to do something that really conveys the passion I have for this issue.
All right. So, when did you actually make up, or with the masking tape and the little sign of "Free the Refugees"? When did you do all that?
Yeah, it was the night before I went to lockdown.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a last-minute job, and that's my excuse for the poor sewing effort.
Yeah, bad spelling there, mate.
Yeah, I know. Tragic.
Okay, so did you have that, hidden in your pocket somewhere?
I had a T-shirt with patches on it, two patches on the T-shirt,
right.
And the sign was folded up and sewn inside the patch, and I ripped the patch back and pulled the sign out, and...
Okay, so you had that ready to go from the moment you went into the house.
Yeah, I did.
So you actually put it together before you went into the house.
I had to. I mean, there was no way to do it inside the house.
So you had that with you when you went in.
Yes.
Knowing that whatever happened, that's what you do when you got out.
Yes.
Okay. What happened to you in the house? I've heard. I haven't been following it very closely, of course.
No,
you have a bit of a look every now and again. So what was the story with what happened to you? The angst in the house, and how come they threw you out?
I think the house brought out a side of me that, maybe wasn't something that people really want to see on a reality TV show. It brought out my over-analytical side, it brought out my emotional side. And that... Did
you do a lot of drinking?
Did I do a lot of drinking?
Yeah, because the last time I watched Big Brother, they were all getting drunk. That's what it's all about. Showing off, getting drunk, and carrying on.
Mate, I'm a 24-year-old bloke who loves to have a party. That's at the end of the day. So yeah, I had a few beers and had a laugh and had a good time, and that's what it was about for me, mate. It was a holiday. I go to work 5 days a week in the office. Work massive hours, and and this was my 6 weeks of laying around the pool and having a laugh and getting to know cool.
Somebody said that you're a bit hard to get on with some of the other housemates.
I guess look, we weren't put in there to get along. We were put in there to create a dynamic.
Well, you're actually put in there to win, aren't you? Really?
No.
From your point of view.
I mean, I never had winning as an objective.
Were you surprised that they voted you out?
No, I wasn't. I knew it was coming. I was ready to go. I mean, my time in there was over. I needed to see my friends. I needed to get out of there.
All right. Now, have you breached any sort of contract? One of our net note writers this morning said that you've deceived the producers and you've breached contracts and all sorts of things. So where do you stand on all that?
Well, I think importantly, we're moving on positively. Channel 10, Southern Star, myself, we're moving on positively, and they realised that it wasn't malicious. The last thing I wanted to do was to slap them in the face. I'm so grateful and so thankful for the opportunity of being a part of this show. 30,000 people applied, and I got to see them.
Have you forfeited any prizes?
I'm not even sure. For me, I just made a massive statement about an issue I feel so strongly about, that whether I have a car or not.
Yeah. Can I ask you this, Merlin? Why didn't you, after doing your protest with Gretel there, why didn't you just do your protest, then take the thing off your mouth and talk to her?
Because I knew that I would have the opportunity to talk about my feelings and about why I did what I did in the next few days. I mean, I've been doing radio interviews all morning. I'm talking to Gretel tonight on the Big Brother show tonight. I'll be talking to Rove tomorrow night. So last night was my opportunity to create the controversy.
Some people might say this is a cynical way to try and make yourself a star.
I think that's a very cynical way. And I think anyone who's
watched show business, mate.
Yeah, it is show business. But anyone who's watched the show and anyone who has any idea of who I am, will know that that wasn't my motivation. And at the end of the day, man, everything you do, you're going to have critics, especially once you get profile, and it's ridiculous. I mean, there's all I can say is there's thousands of refugees and asylum seekers.
Yeah, I really don't want to go into that area because I don't want to give you publicity on that. But let me ask you this, and this is what a lot of our people are asking: are you an Australian citizen?
I'm not an Australian citizen, but I am an Australian.
No, you're not. If you're not an Australian citizen, you're not an Australian.
George, I had this debate with Paul. I'm not sure if you saw it.
No, I didn't see it, but it's as simple as this. The people who live in Australia and are Australians are Australian citizens.
Okay. So I've been Australian for as long as I can remember.
How long have you lived in the country?
How long have I lived in the country?
Yeah.
Since I was 4 years old, 20 years.
Why have you never become an Australian citizen?
It's never been an issue.
How old are you, Merlin? 25?
24.
You're 24 and you've lived here, did you say over 10 years?
George, I've lived here for 20 years.
You've lived here for 20 years.
Yeah.
You originally came, where were you born? Germany?
Yeah.
You were born in Germany. You lived here for 20 years. You've never ever bothered to become one of us, so to speak, one of the Australian family.
Sure.
You've never bothered to become an Australian, yet you get involved in the politics of this country.
Are you going to let me speak now, or are you just going to keep...
Well, no. Well, hey, you've got your protest, I've got mine, mate.
Oh, yeah,
I'm pretty hot on this one too, because you cannot call yourself an Australian after living here and not bothering to become one of us.
Okay, that's your point of view. Now can I say my point of view?
Go for it.
Okay, thanks. I've been an Australian for as long as I can remember.
No, you haven't.
Isn't it my turn? You've said your piece.
No, but you're not telling the truth there, mate. You're not an Australian citizen. You can't go around saying you're an Australian.
George, a discussion is where two people speak their point of view. Now, I've heard your point of view.
I'm sorry, mate. I don't want to hear that sort of drivel. So we'll let you go. Thank you for your time this morning, and you're in the rough, tumble world of trying to spread your message and your protest, okay? I think I gave you more than enough, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will probably feel that way. Some may feel I give you a rough deal. But if you want to get the high profile and do all the protesting, you've got to face all that. There is no way in the world somebody that's been here 20 years, didn't bother to become an Australian citizen, can go around telling people they're an Australian. I'm sorry, from Germany. I'm sorry, I just don't buy that at all. All right, the number is 13 13 32, and of course, it's the John Laws Morning Show around Australia.